As a child, most exciting day of the week for me was Sunday, where I used to visit buffalo farms with my father. Watching those swishing tails and having sip of hot cup of tea made from pure milk, and that too a pure buffalo milk, was something that I really relished a lot. My father is a veterinarian, and he's been working with some pharmaceutical companies. And that point of time, he was promoting his products at these farms, and I used to visit with him. In fact, that was my first interaction with large animals. Being a city boy, I did not have any other contact with large animals like buffalo and cows. But that was the time, and in fact, it is somewhere close to where we are standing now. That's somewhere in Goregaon. There were quite a few dairy farms there then. But now, of course, they've moved out of Mumbai, but you don't see them. But still in RA, nearby RA colony, we can see some of them. Taking care of stray dogs and stray cats was something, again, was very, very natural for me. They used to follow me, and they used to follow my house, and they had made a home in my garden. Basically, I had a small garden, and we had housed a lot of plants in it, and I was really fortunate that I had lots of plants and birds, and now these little animals. So I felt really, really well connected to these animals, and perhaps that was the time that I felt that I should become a veterinarian one day. If I take you back, say 30 years ago, things were a little different then. Even when I wanted to become a veterinarian, I noticed that there weren't many private veterinary clinics available for pets. That was something different than what we see today. Veterinarians generally worked in the rural sector then. They were more into taking care of large farms like buffalo farms or cow farms, or they were possibly taking care of poultry farms. But as we saw changes in the demography last 30 years, from being developing countries, now we are developing, we have developed almost. Now we can see a lot of changes in our society, and we see changes in the family structure. Social structure is changing. We are seeing more nuclear families, and these nuclear families, we are always looking for some comfort. We want some companion to share our emotions. So that gap is now being filled by pets. Now people want to be more connected with pets, and as we grew, over a period of time, this bond has only been getting stronger and stronger. Now, what we have seen wonderful things about this is that when these animals come in contact with small kids, they have immense impact on children. You will see a lot of difference. They are more compassionate, and they feel more connected to the nature, and they are more empathetic towards people and animals alike. This change, you can see it in, I've seen in 2-3 generations of pet owners, and I've been seeing it. I'm really fortunate that I've been seeing 2 generations of pets and people also, and I'm seeing that connect in people. I can see that in kids. I can see that with the way they behave, when they behave in the society, I see a lot of change in that. As we grew, as the society changed, as I said, people wanted more and more care. They wanted the best facilities for their patients, and that's nothing wrong in it. I have a kid. I am giving a particular kind of medical facility. I want the same medical facility for my pets too. So that came a long way now. So what we are seeing, pets who were just the pets who were going for a general health consult or maybe some minor treatment or vaccinations, now we are able to provide them state-of-the-art treatment for all our pets. Most of the clinics are able to provide nowadays complex procedures like complex surgical procedures, as I said, like, or maybe orthopedic procedures. You have point of care blood analyzers, point of care ultrasound machines, you have X-ray machines. That's been a game changer for quite some time now. If you see it, compare, say if I talk about a disease 20 years ago. For example, I'm talking about cancers. Now, we did not have much option to treat cancer in pets, say 20 years ago. But now when I see we have ray of hope, we have radiation facility, as you see it in this picture, that in Mumbai we have radiation facility for pets, which can be availed. Besides that, we've been doing complex surgeries, we are doing chemotherapies for pets, and that kind of care we are able to give it to our patients. Besides that, as I said, like we have complex surgeries we can do. We have well-equipped surgical suites in these days. Pharma company are also something which I would like to share with you is that when I'll just take back to what I told you initially, that my father is a vet and he was working with a pharmaceutical company. Back then, he'd never had a single product for pets. That was about almost 30, 35 years ago. All the products which were all meant for large animals or poultry. So that scene has changed now. Even the pharmaceutical companies have reoriented their product lines, and you can see more and more products coming up for veterinarians and for the pets. So all these changes, unfortunately, come with a price. Nothing comes free. And as we progressed, our treatment has got better, but somebody has to pay price for that. And the concept of pet insurance comes in picture. If you see Western countries, they have very robust insurance policies, which we don't have it in India yet. Of course, some companies have started now, but we are at a very nascent stage and we are just picking up now. And hopefully that will pick up and that will give benefit to our pets. At this point of time, I would like to just introduce you Oliver. Now, Oliver is a 10-year-old Labrador. He's been working as a therapy dog for last 8 years. Now, what is wonderful about Oliver is he's been working at different hospitals, he's been working at home for aged, and he is wonderful with kids. So if you can just look at this picture, look at these beaming faces of kids, they were so happy. And Ollie is just so quiet, and he is so accommodative. He will not get boisterous, he doesn't get excited too much, but he walks like a kind of a grandfather, and he just takes everyone into their stride and he makes everyone happy. How is it even possible that he can do that? Now the point here is that animals, when you cuddle a pet or when you start conversing with a pet, what's going to happen is that they are going to increase your oxytocin levels. Oxytocin, as you know, is a happy hormone, and they are going to reduce your cortisol levels, thus reducing your stress levels. So when you come back home from a rough day's work and you pet your dog, I'm sure he's going to take care of all your stress. One personal experience I would like to share after this is wherein in COVID-19, many of my clients got infected with the infection, and they were all worried for their pets. They were worried about themselves, but more than that, I thought that they were worried for their pets because I was getting calls regarding whether their pet will get the infection, whether there is any remedy for it, or there is any vaccination available. They were all worried. Incidentally, unfortunately, some of them did perish to the infection. They passed away, leaving behind their four-legged furry friends and their pets alone. Some of them were abandoned. Pets go through the same kind of grief that we undergo when we lose our loved ones. They show the same kind of emotions. They get sad, they recluse themselves, they stop eating, they even cry. So all these emotions we could see in them. Fortunately, most of the pets they got adopted through agencies, and they are living now with their new parents. As I talked about human and animal bond, human and animal relationship, how closely we are dependent on them. We are really emotionally, dependent on them. And as we talk, there is as we talked about emotional give and take, there is one more give and take happens with animals. That's the give and take of diseases. I'm talking about zoonotic diseases. Now, zoonotic diseases are something which you would get it from, technically, one can get it from animals. And there is something called reverse zoonosis, which we can give it to animals. So when we are in close contact with animals, we have to be really very vigilant about it. The most important infection what all of us saw and experienced was COVID-19. Now, COVID-19 is believed that it has um, it has come from the wet markets of China. Now, what are wet markets? Wet markets are markets where live animals are sold. These are certain places where wild animals are sold for food and medicinal purpose. So that's a very dangerous place. So you are harboring bacteria which you have no control over, and these bacteria or these organisms, these viruses, are now thrown into human population. And this, as you know, that we've been traveling, people have nowadays people travel more times and more places, and there is a good chance of transferring this infection. And you saw that the whole planet got infected with the infection. So that was we all tested this particular aspect of zoonosis. The next zoonotic disease, which all of us know, is rabies. Now, rabies is something which is transmitted by bites of um, uh, rabid dogs, and if you see it, this can easily be prevented. This prevention can happen with immunization. So, effective immunization is the key to prevent rabies, and veterinarians have been working hard to do that. So veterinarians, you can see working at different shelter homes. They are busy vaccinating stray dogs. They're vaccinating pets. We are also sterilizing them, because that's an important aspect of keeping this stray dog population under control. So you can see them working in all these situations. If I take you back to little rural background, well, you can see veterinarians working at various places where animal produce is processed, such as meat, eggs, and dairy. Now, whatever these meat produce you get or the animal produce you get on your table has to be pathogen free. So veterinarians have been working hard to make sure that whatever food you get is pathogen free. All this brings us to the concept of biosecurity and the concept of One Health. Now, One Health is a unifying branch of medicine, which is basically looking at animal health, human health, and the environment. We are all closely connected with each other. When you are breathing pollution-free air, when you're breathing, making sure that you are having water which is not contaminated, and I just talked about the nutrition part where you are getting food which is not contaminated, which is so much important. The other aspect I would like to touch is the antibiotic resistance. So judicious use of antibiotics by all of us is something so much important, that so that we can prevent superbugs. As you know, last 20 years there hasn't been much innovation, or not many antibiotics have been produced for use in both animals and humans alike. So veterinarians and physicians work tirelessly making sure that whatever antibiotics are used judiciously. The other aspect of One Health I would like to mention about is comparative medication. Comparative medicine is something which actually deals with comparison of humans and animal health. Basically, there are lots of similarities and lots of dissimilarities between them. Unfortunately, animal life is 7 times shorter than human life, but that gives us an advantage, because you can see that disease processes move that much faster. They run that much 7 times faster in animals if you compare it with humans. So studies done in animals for a particular disease can be extrapolated and can be used for human health. For example, you can see in this picture Dachshunds. I'm sure most of you know this breed, and they have a very peculiar anatomy. They have a very long spine and short legs. That makes them more vulnerable to some spinal diseases. Now, the study done in these animals helps us basically to extrapolate and use this study for human health. In last 27 years of my practice, I've been working with people. I've studied anatomy, I've studied physiology, biochemistry, whatever subjects. But also I had a chance to interact with pet owners. I had a chance to be with pets, and that has taught me a lot. I could see similarities, I could draw parallels in human health and animal health, and I've learned and I believe that it really helps to understand us what is good health all about. I've seen a lot of changes in last 30 years in demography. Society has changed drastically. We have all changed. Our pets are basically, they are called pets. They are not just mere dogs outside or cats outside the house. They have entered our houses. They are part of us. They are no more in shelters. From shelters, they have moved to swanky hostels or hotels. They are not having table leftovers now. They are having super premium foods. And you cannot call a pet parent a pet master or owner. They don't like it. They are now pet parents. You cannot call them that. So that's, ladies and gentlemen, it's the new era of pet humanization. Thank you.